say, a product of the University of Missouri-Columbia, Kait Parker with the Weather Channel in Atlanta. Kait, I guess maybe first, if you could just kind of tell us how serious of a time of year is this? I know you guys have to take this time of year seriously.
We take it incredibly seriously. We've already started more planning than you can possibly imagine. It happens year-round, but we make sure everybody's on board throughout the entirety of the Weather Channel. Something that a lot of folks don't realize is that Weather Company has 220 meteorologists at it. 220. So we have people around the clock that are working toward making sure that everyone is prepared going into tornado season, going into severe season.
And you're not just there in Atlanta, you get out in the field too. I'm just curious, anecdotally, can you give us an idea? I mean, do you run across more people, or has it changed at all, the attitudes towards preparedness? I mean, nobody ever expects it's going to happen to them, do they?
That, I think, is the biggest problem, is that there's a sense of complacency whenever it comes to preparedness, and you do run across that. People don't think it's going to happen to them until it does. It goes into play from whenever you're first building your home and you're thinking about cost-saving measures, and you're not really thinking about what would happen if you're in the moment and it's almost too late to wish that you had done something to mitigate your chances of having a major impact from a severe weather event.
I know you're not just a student of weather, but a student of weather history. Can you talk a little bit about, maybe specifically too, as it pertains to the St. Louis area, how our history is linked with severe weather, and maybe how that kind of plays a role in the way we view it?
I think that St. Louis is fascinating. I am a product of the University of Missouri, so I love Missouri. But St. Louis is fascinating because there was a tornado that hit right in the heart of what would be downtown now in 1896. And what's fascinating is that there was a paper written then, a large book actually, that went into what could be done to have prevented the catastrophic damage that occurred. And actually the most fascinating thing to me is that there was a research study that was done in 2001, and it kind of went into what would that look like today? That tornado going through downtown, what would that look like with today's building? And that one said about $2.6 billion in damage. That's what it would be adjusted for with current building structures in that area, current inflation. And then if you take 2001 numbers and put them in 2014 numbers, $3.8 billion, greater than $3.8 billion is how much damage that tornado in particular would have caused.
Do you think, did we learn anything from even 1896 that we still apply today?
Well, what's interesting is that, the recommendations that were made then were, hey, we should have warned people sooner. We should have gone through the avenues of even ringing bells at the fire stations, kind of an example of our modern siren system that technically doesn't have there's no across-the-board rule for the siren system across the United States. So we still haven't gotten on board on that, on really truly preparing people in that regard. And is that even the best way? What role does social media play in the future of storm preparedness and making sure people are prepared? We could take a lot of lessons from then and still apply them today, actually.
I believe, if I have this right, you were here around 2006, I believe it was, when we had we had people without power for a long time during the summer. I think it was something we call a derecho, if that's the right way to say it. What is that, and what was significant about that summer? Or that spring?
It's interesting that kind of became a buzzword 2 years ago because of a major system that went through the Northeast. But this happened in 2006. Folks were at a Cardinals game. They were out at the game, and we had this major system blow through. And you wouldn't think that, you think of a tornado being the most, dangerous type of severe weather. In this circumstance, there are wind gusts out ahead of that were taking down every power line, every tree limb. There's video online that you can find of trash cans swinging through the Cardinal Stadium and hitting people. I mean, just really tremendous damage happened. People were out of power. It's July 19th. And so, summer in St. Louis, it is a hot tamale. And we were talking about people without power. People were passing away from heat stroke.
Right. Yeah. A very tragic situation. Inconvenient for a lot of people, deadly for some. You've covered a lot of other things. Any other takeaways that you would like people to know when we think about Joplin, for instance, or like a Good Friday tornado that we had here in St. Louis? What else comes to your mind in this topic of being prepared?
The number one thing that you can do is be prepared. You have to listen to every outlet that you have. You need to listen to the Weather Channel, but also your local news outlets, and stay on top of what's happening. If you don't have access to a TV, you need to be online, and you need to have whatever tools you need, whatever apps you need, whether it's the Red Cross app, so that you're prepared in the aftermath in the event that something unfortunate happens, or if it's Weather Channel app to keep you updated during the event. You have to have these things in place, and you have to prepare ahead of time. Make sure that your kids are aware of your safety plan. You know, whenever they're going off to school, you should have a plan in place for your family. That is the best thing you can do to be prepared for severe weather. And honestly, you just have to stay on top of the forecast, because our skills as meteorologists are getting better every day. And so, you know, the future looks bright for being able to give an even more warning time in advance of a tornado or a severe thunderstorm.